the list. She said, girl, your name is on the list. I said, it's not me. She said, yes, it is. I went in there and looked, and the very last name on there was my name. And I was like, I don't care. I'm not going. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. Here we are, the long-awaited video. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. If you have never been to my channel before, thank you so much for clicking on this video and taking a chance of hearing this story. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all know y'all are my babies. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being faithful and loyal and supporting me on my journey. Now, if you have not seen my prison video, I would suggest that you go and watch it first. It's going to give you the backstory of me going to prison and what I, experienced through the process, and will kind of probably help you out with this part for you. If you just click on this video and you're like, whoa, what you talking about? Oh, ex-con self, I don't know. So yeah. So I just want to start off by saying that, kind of picking up from the last video, when I went to prison, I never cried, right? I didn't cry when I got sentenced. I didn't cry before I went to prison. I mean, I didn't cry. I had not to say that I never cried, but like, especially during that experience, like I just didn't cry, right? So I was like, whatever, this is my life. And so I was in prison almost 2 years, walking around on the campus. Please don't think college campus when I say campus, because it's nothing like a college campus. Walking around on campus with my girls, smoking our Newports on the courtyard, and just doing my thing, F-bomb every other word, and and I'm not judging anybody the way they talk. I'm painting a picture for you guys, right? Like blue prison suits, smoking your cigarettes, scheming and scamming, seeing what you can get away with, seeing what male guard you can manipulate to bring you stuff in. Like, that's the mindset in there, right? Talking about making connections of what you're going to do when you get on the outs, that is the mindset. That's what's going on inside of the prison. You're always scheming. You're always trying to get something. You're always, that's it, scheming and scamming and trying to get something, right? Now, I would see the church girls, the prison girls who were going to church all of a sudden now, and I could not stand it. I was the first one to talk crap about those girls. I was like, y'all are in prison. You're out there smoking dope on the streets, and now you're in here finding God. Like, right. If you were in church on the streets, you would not be in prison right now. I would not go to church. In prison, they have church every single day. There's some kind of service that you can go to 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The church is never closed there, right? And I think the whole first 2 years before this experience I'm going to tell you about, I think I went to church maybe, just to throw a number out there, I'm going to say less than 5 times for sure. And the only time I ever went to church was to scheme and scam, get something from somebody else while I was there, to try to pass things or to pass a note to a male guard. Like, that was my mindset. I wasn't in church trying to get Jesus. I was in church scheming and scamming, and that is nothing to brag about, but I'm painting you guys the reality of what was going on with me, right? Okay. Everybody in the prison started talking about this thing called Kairos. And it was like this thing that everybody was talking about. Kairos is coming. Kairos is coming. Are you going to get on the Kairos list? Are you going to try to go to Kairos? Man, I hope I can go to Kairos. Da, 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 da. I'm like, what is everybody talking about? Come to find out, Kairos is this event where in the prison that I was in, they come for 3 days. They come for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they spend the whole entire day in the church, right? They are there from like, guess hours from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if you get chosen to go to Kairos, you have to go to all 3 days. You leave and you arrive at 8 a.m. and you leave at 8 p.m. So you're talking about people are trying to get into this event where they're going to go to church for 3 days all day long. Okay. I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I don't even want to go to church for a Sunday service, much less go for 3 whole days all day. Like, no, thank you. Well, then come to find out, the reason why everybody wants to go to Kairos is because those women that come in to do the church services, they bring in food from the outside world, right? Things that we don't get in there. They bring in Arby's or Chick-fil-A, or they bring in cookies and sodas and all kind of stuff. And it's like this big food fest while you're at church for the 3 days. So everybody's trying to get in there. And you have to keep in mind, some of these women are in prison for life. If they don't get into Kairos, they will never taste a piece of pizza again. I mean, how mind-blowing is that to think about, right? You make a decision in your life and you get sentenced to life in prison, and you will never go through another drive-through again. You will never pop a Fanta open and taste it again, because they don't have those in prison. Like, you will never get a stuffed crust pizza, never again, right? So these women are dying to go to this program because they're gonna get things that they would obviously never get. Kairos comes to the prison once a year. So if you don't get into that once a year event, you're not going. That's just it. Now, that Kairos will put a list out in your dorm, and you have to get on the list, and then they take the list of people's names. Somehow, some way, I have no idea how this works. They do a random draw and they pick a few women out of each dorm. Now, your dorm has hundreds of women in it. And I'm just guessing numbers here because I'm not really sure, and I surely wasn't counting anything. You get like, I want to say they choose like maybe 30 people total to go out of a prison that has either thousands, or in my case, my prison had like 400 or 500 women. I was in a smaller prison once I got transferred. So you're saying 400 or 500 women, and there's only 30 women that are going to get chose to this. Okay. Now, these women can get pretty crazy about getting their names on the list, but I didn't care. Like, I didn't want to go. Are you kidding me? But all of my friends wanted to go. So I was like, okay, whatever. Y'all do y'all. Like, no, thank you. I can't see how going to church for 3 days is going to be a good time. I don't care what kind of food they have. I literally said that to one of my friends. I said, I don't care what kind of food they have. I'm not going to church for 3 days. Are you kidding me? Heck to the no, to the no, no, no. Well, fast forward a little bit, and I'm sitting on my bunk in my room. My bunk. Huge dorm, right? Bunk beds everywhere, mattresses on slabs everywhere. It's hot. The windows are up on this huge, it's like a warehouse. It's like a brick warehouse room is our dorm, and there's no AC in there. So it is hot, right? I'm painting you this picture, friends. My bunk was way in the back corner, right? And I heard this loud commotion going on in the day room. Now, our day room was like a 20 by 20 foot room that had a couple picnic table, like metal picnic table thingies in there. And I looked up there to where the day room was, and I seen like this huge group of women that you could tell the day room was completely full of women. They were shoving each other. They were trying to get through, and they were like overflowing out into the regular dorm because there were so many women in there. And I asked one of the girls, I said, what in the heck is going on? I thought it was a fight that broke out in there, and because I'd never seen that before in 2 years being in prison. What the heck was going on? And one of the girls said the Kairos list went up. And I said, oh, I don't care. I'm not trying to get into that. So I didn't even get up. Now later, when I was going through the shower, I passed by and I looked at the list. The list was up on the wall, and it had a bunch of lines on it, right, where you could put your name. to try to get on the list. And I think maybe it had like 10 or 15 lines, but these women had their name on all the lines, then over to the side where there was no lines, and had flipped it over and put their name on the back. Like, these women were trying so hard to get into this Kairos thing, right? I was just like, I had my nose tooted up. I was like, whatever. Fast forward a little bit. I was hanging out with my girls again one day on the courtyard, and one of the chicks came running out the dorm, and she said, I got chills. She said, Christina, you made the Kairos list. What? I didn't make the list. She said, yes, you did. Your name is on the list. I said, I didn't even put my name on the list to try to get chosen. And they call it a lottery. I didn't even get my name on the list. She said, girl, your name is on the list. I said, it's not me. She said, yes, it is. I went in there and looked, and the very last name on there was my name. And I was like, I don't care. I'm not going. And everybody kept coming up to me, congratulations, congratulations, you're getting to go to Kairos. It's going to be the best experience you've ever experienced. I was like, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I don't want to go play church for 3 days. Like, I don't want to go. It was coming up on the Friday of Kairos, and I was not going. I had no intentions on going at all. And I had a little incident with something that had happened, and I was really upset, and one of my friends said, go to Kairos. And I was like, I really honestly don't want to go. And she said, well, I think you should go. And this woman had been in prison for years. She was like, I've been before, it's an amazing experience, and at the very least, it will be like a little vacation away from the prison for a few days, because you'll be gone all day long. So I thought about it, and I decided, okay, whatever, I'll go. I get up that morning with an attitude, getting ready to go to Kairos for the first day, not wanting to go. And I got there, and I remember when I walked in the church doors, and when you walked in, like, all the Kairos ladies were like lined up, like in these rows. And they, like, as soon as you walked in, they were just like reaching out and hugging you and like telling you how glad they were that you were there. And I just remember thinking, like, why are these women so nice to me or to us? They don't know us. Like, we could be child killers. We could be the scum of the earth. And these women didn't even care. They weren't looking at you trying to figure out what you did wrong. They were just loving on us. And I hadn't, at that point in my life, I had never experienced that before. But it opened up the gate to start turning, like, why are these women like this? But I still was guard up, wall up, like, ugh. So I got in there, and they had all these circle tables, right? The circle tables with chairs around them. They were all spread out. And on the tables, they had cookies, and, you know, they had drinks, and they were just giving you food. And, like, it didn't matter if you sat there and ate 100 cookies, they would give you 100 more. They never once looked at you like, why are you eating so much? Or, aren't you being greedy? Or, you've just ate 3 Arby's burgers, you know, why are you asking for another one? They were so giving and so loving. And I just kept, like, I kept my mouth shut. I was observing, I was judging, I was looking for something in these women to make them have a motive for what they were doing. And I wasn't able to find it, but I kept my mouth shut. I remember sitting there, and one of the ladies came over to talk to me. And she kind of reached down and she kind of grabbed my hand. And I remember how soft her hands were. And she was just talking to me. And I kind of tuned out. I still to this day can't even remember what she was saying. But I remember, like, looking at her and thinking, like, whatever you have, lady, I want that. Like, that's all I thought. I just thought it. And it was really because at that time in my life, I had truly never had somebody look at me like that. I had never had somebody And I was in prison. They didn't just find me sitting on a curb somewhere. I was in prison. And these ladies were looking at me like I was like a person. A couple hours later, this is still the first day, everybody moves into the area with the pews and stuff because they like singing and doing worship songs and they're clapping and stuff, and everybody's standing and I'm sitting and I'm looking around at everybody. I'm really judging the prison girls and I'm looking at them singing and clapping and I'm judging them. I'm looking at them like, you were just smoking cigarettes on the courtyard. Like, why are you in here acting like this? Like, and as I'm looking at everybody, the thoughts slowly started to fade. And I started getting these tears welled up in my eyes. Now remember, I'm hard. I'm a gangster. I didn't even cry when I went to prison, right? And now I'm in church and I feel these tears welled up in my eyes. So I'm looking around at everybody and I feel the tears and my brain goes, what the heck is that? Like, why do I have tears? So I sat there and I closed my eyes, you know, just trying to get it to go away. Like, okay, why is this happening? The more that I tried to get the tears to go away, the more that they came. Before you know it, I'm sitting there and I'm freaking out in my brain, right? I'm like, why is this happening? Like, why am I crying? Like, I am fighting this like a pit bull on my inside, and I'm sitting as still as a statue because the last thing that I want anybody to do in that church is to see me crying, okay? So I'm sitting there, and the more that I hold my eyes shut, the more that the tears fall down until at this point, my face is soaking wet. I have tears running down, dripping off my chin. I can feel them hitting my chest, and I'm sitting as still, and I'm like, oh gosh, please don't let anybody see me. I don't know what's happening. My lip starts quivering. It's like a flood, like of just tears, and I still have no idea what's going on. And then I literally thought, please don't let anybody touch me. And as soon as I thought that, I felt a hand hit my back. And when it did, I felt a shock through my body, and then another hand, and another shock, another hand, another shock. And I closed my eyes and I sat there, and before you know it, I'm like this, and people are rubbing my back, and I'm still in my brain like, I don't even know what the heck is going on. I have no idea why I'm crying. I can't stop it. I'm uncontrollably crying and sobbing to the point that I can't breathe, and I'm like freaking out, trying to pull it together, completely unable to. I continued to cry and cry and cry. And then when everybody finished singing, I didn't say a word. I got up and went straight to the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and my nose was red and swollen, and my eyes were red and swollen. And I looked at myself and I was like, I don't even know what is going on here. And the whole entire basis or the subject of this Kairos thing, because they have a subject, was have faith the size of a mustard seed, right? And I had no idea, never heard scripture before. Not like that. I've been to church when I was a little girl like a couple times, but not like that, right? And it was everything they kept saying, have faith the size of a mustard seed. That Jesus said, just have faith the size of a mustard seed. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and seeing how swollen my face was. I hit my knees in the bathroom and I said, God, if you're real and you really say that all I need is faith the size of a mustard seed, that's all I've got is a mustard seed of faith. So if you're real, you're really gonna have to show me. I pulled myself together in that bathroom, and I walked back out to the table, and everybody was sitting at the round tables again. When I walked out, I had my head down because I did not want anybody to look at me. I did not want them to see my face that I had been crying. I slid into my seat and I had my head down. Everything was quiet. I knew that they were staring at me. As soon as I looked up, everybody was looking at me like, oh. and I lost it. And they're like, it's okay, they're rubbing me, and I'm like, I don't even know why I'm crying. And they're like, it's okay, and I'm like, but I don't know why I'm crying. And it was just so wild, dude. It was insane. Like, I was like, I had no idea what was going on. I probably sat silent for the rest of that day because I was in awe of what had happened. Like, I had no idea. And I literally felt like 1,000 bricks had been lifted off of me. I don't know if you've ever cried to the point that you were exhausted, but that's how my body was. I was weak when I left out of there that first day. I was weak, but light as a feather at the same time is the only way that I could explain it. Like, all of this stuff that I was carrying, I didn't even know that I was carrying, was gone. It was crazy to feel like this. And I hadn't really said anything or really did anything, you know? When I went into the dorm that night, I would not make eye contact with anybody. I went straight to the bed. And I just kept thinking, all I've got is a mustard seed of faith. That's all I got, is a tiny, 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 tiny little mustard seed of faith. But I don't know what just happened to me, but if he's real, he said that's all I need. So we'll see. I got up the next morning and I was hungry. I was hungry to learn more. I wanted to know, like, what this was, what happened to me, why I felt different, why I instantly gave away my cigarettes and did not want anything to do with anything anymore, why I instantly started feeling differently about people. I started feeling like I was seeing people in a different light. It was the most God thing that has ever happened in my entire life, because I had no control over any of it that happened to me. For the next 2 weeks, I went to every single church service that they had because I needed to know who this God person really was. You know, I was hungry for it. I chased after it. I started reading my Bible. I started learning. And the more that I read my Bible, the more things popped out to me. It was the living word for real. Like, I just started to change. There are people that were in that prison with me that I'm still friends with to this day that still remember that happening to me because they saw it. They saw me go in one day, one person, and come out then that day a different person. And they knew that it had to be God because they knew that the person that I was when I went in there, I couldn't have done that on my own. I could not have done that on my own. I was different. I thought differently. I was vulnerable all of a sudden. I became a crier, which I still am to this day. Thanks, Lord. And you know, I would love to sit here and tell you guys that I have made every perfect decision since then, that I have been a picture perfect poster girl of Christianity. I would love to tell you guys that, but I haven't been. But no matter the things that I have done, the decisions that I have made does not change who he is. And no matter how far I can get away from God with my actions or the things that I do, nobody can take that experience from me. No scientist, no scientific proof, no explanation of the dinosaurs and the millions of the years, blah, 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 blah. Nothing could ever tell me that there's not a real God because I felt him myself. The most least deserving person on this earth, that's me. I did not deserve it. I don't know why he chose me in that moment. I wasn't asking for it, or maybe I was in my heart and he knew and I didn't. You know, the thought to know that I could be forgiven of all of the terrible things that I did, and I was, and I am. It changed me. I've never been the same since. And I would love to tell you guys that y'all can look at me and emulate the things that I do and be a perfect Christian. But don't do that. Because there are no perfect Christians, and I am the least perfect Christian. But the only thing that I can tell you is that he loves you and he loves me, and I am forgiven, and he is real. There is a scripture that I wanted to share with you guys that is exactly what happened to me. You know, when I went into the Kairos, I had never picked up a Bible before, other than maybe if I was passing through somewhere and someone gave me a free one and then I used it for, like, you know, leveling a table or something. But as far as like opening it up, maybe I have. Maybe I tried to read it and figured it was too hard to read, or, you know, it didn't make any sense. It sounded crazy. But after God touched me that day, I started to see things differently. I started understanding the Bible is really a supernatural thing that happens, a spiritually supernatural thing that happens. And I wish I knew how to give it to you guys. I wish I knew that, okay, you just follow this 1, 2, 3 step formula and this is going to happen for you too. If I knew it, I'd give it to everybody, but I don't. But I will tell you this. In Ezekiel 36:26, it says, "And I will give you a new heart. I will put in you a new spirit. And I will take out your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart." That is exactly what happened to me. He took out that stony, stubborn heart that I had, and he put in a heart of flesh. And I cried it out. And I had no idea what was happening. It just happened. If anybody is watching this that knows any of the Kairos ladies, or if you're a part of Kairos, I want to encourage you guys. You guys are helping to change lives. You may not see it, because I know you don't see the prison ladies after you leave, but some women that you come in contact with have never had a genuine hug before, have never had somebody not judging them or trying to manipulate them or trying to get something out of them or putting them down or anything. And just your love and kindness, I just can't explain to you guys what that means. So thank you. Well, I would love to tell you guys about my journey after that, because what I thought was going to happen when I got out of prison before I went in there, thought that I was going to go right back to my old friends and going to go back to partying and couldn't wait to get back in the clubs, didn't happen. And if you want to know what happened after that, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to share with you my journey. And I really appreciate you guys watching this. Anybody that knows me in real life, you know, knows that I'm not one at all to make up something and talk about it. So if you're watching this and you're wondering if what I'm saying is real, I'm telling you, it's real. I promise you, with everything in me, that this really happened. And if you're even a little bit curious about God, there's a reason why. There is a reason why, right? And I encourage you to seek that out more and figure it out. Thanks again, guys. I just love you guys so much. Please, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos with me this year, 2018. Love you guys.